You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Friday, happy Venus Day, and welcome to your weekend. In today's episode, we're going to walk through the transits on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you happen to find this video over the weekend, you want to jump ahead to Saturday, Sunday, a specific transit, I will add markers to the timeline once the stream is done so you can jump to whichever part of the forecast you are looking for guidance on. Let me know how Venus Day is feeling for you so far. Venus is at 0 degrees of Pisces, so definitely feeling that Venus energy right now. We have Katie here. Good afternoon. And I know a few others are popping on. I want to start with honoring the Aquariuses who are celebrating their solar returns this weekend. Rosamund Pike is an Aquarius. Interesting. I wouldn't guess that, but she does, you know, she does march to the beat of her own drum in a way. She's beautiful. She could take on classic blonde woman roles, and instead she goes for like serial killer, really dark roles. Bridget Fonda. Let's see, anyone else? Patton Oswalt is an Aquarius. Lewis Carroll. Alan Cumming, that makes sense completely. Anyone else? And we'll just see for fun who our January 28th babies are. Also Aquarius is Maluma, Nick Carter, Ariel Winter, J. Cole, Elijah Wood, another person who just makes sense, Will Poulter, love him, and We're the Millers. Rick Ross is an Aquarius. And on Sunday, these beautiful people will be celebrating their birthdays. So glad we decided to do birthdays because Oprah marks her solar return on Sunday. Oprah, if I had to guess, I would say Oprah is a Pisces. She probably has some Pisces placements, but Oprah as an Aquarius, Aquarius being the sign of humanity, community. I mean, she is so connected. She has this way of connecting people all over the world. Probably the most notable Aquarius we'll see this season. Tom Selleck and Adam Lambert, Heather Graham also celebrating their birthdays on Sunday. Okay, nobody quite as prominent. Paul Ryan, nobody quite as prominent as Oprah though. So if you're an Aquarius, if you are celebrating someone this weekend, give them a shout out in the comments so we can send them some love too. We're going to get right into the forecast. Katie says she's feeling the flow. Makes sense. You are vibing with the Aquarius energy. We're experiencing the last couple moments of the moon in Aries in the next few hours, and then the first quarter moon will move into Taurus. So let's talk about the major energy of this Friday to start. We are experiencing the third and final square between Mercury and Chiron in this series. Now, it's the third and final square because remember, we just came out of Mercury Retrograde, and Mercury is still in its shadow period for about another week and a half until January 6th, right after the next full moon. So before Mercury stationed retrograde, it made a square to Chiron at 12 degrees. Then Mercury stationed retrograde at, I believe, 24 degrees. So then it passed back over Chiron during its retrograde, and this is the third time these two placements meet in a square like this. What does it mean for us? The reason I start with the fact this is the third and final square for now is because there might be some triggers, some conversations, some thoughts that started before Mercury retrograde, maybe came up during Mercury retrograde, that are coming to completion now. Remember, a square is a tense 90-degree angle. So it's like our mindset, our mental state ruled by Mercury, our practicality is squaring off with or being triggered by our wounds. Chiron being the wounded healer. So this could bring up triggering conversations, but I like to think of a square as an activation point as well. So triggers could lead to healing. Chiron is known as the wounded healer because, yes, it represents our deepest wounds, but it also represents our ability to heal them. So this is kind of a final moment coming out of Mercury retrograde for us to acknowledge the wounds that came up, the things that we were reviewing, and ask ourselves, what are we going to do about it? Mercury is in Capricorn, the very practical, serious sign of Capricorn. So it's like, okay, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to practically use this data that keeps coming up, what your wounds are showing you, and apply it in a way that is going to move you towards healing? With Mercury in Capricorn, we're also very focused on success. And this transit could force us to acknowledge what's holding us back or who is holding us back from reaching our goals, moving forward. Maybe it's a mindset thing, a limiting belief that's popping up, or maybe it's, the people you're surrounding yourself with, the stories you're telling yourself, the stories they're telling you. A fair warning, with Mercury squaring Chiron, hostility is possible. Chiron is in the fiery sign of Aries, after all, and the moon is still in Aries. So watch out for explosive communication tactics or being overly harsh, overly cold with Mercury in Capricorn. I'll come back to the reminder I gave during Mercury's retrograde in Capricorn. It's not always just about what you're saying, it's also about how you're saying it. So being really mindful about communication with people today. This square was exact at about 3 a.m. Pacific time, but we're going to be feeling it over the next couple days. So something to keep in mind as you head into the weekend. Maybe you're around friends and family a little bit more as the day goes on or as the weekend goes on. You might notice being triggered, wounding coming up. What are you going to do about it? How can you use this data to move forward? And just for reference, we experienced this same square on December 14th, and then again during Mercury retrograde on January 11th. So if those dates or any days around those dates mark a really potent moment for you, like, oh, wow, yeah, there was a conversation or something that came up that was really intense, this could bring resolution to that if we're willing to embrace what's coming up and use it as data, as intel, right? Rachel says, wow, I feel that. Triggering my ex and feeling like I need closure, but also feeling intuitively about moving forward. Beautiful. Mercury squaring Chiron can do that. Hi, Bree. Happy to see you here. So that's kind of the energy we are in right now as we head into the weekend. Let's talk about what's been going on with the Aries moon this morning, adding a little fuel to the fire, right? Aries energy is a little fiery. This is the waxing crescent moon in Aries. So over the last couple days, you might have felt some movement, wanting to get the ball rolling, maybe a little bit of anxiety as well that wanted to be moved physically through you. Aries energy wants us to go, do, take action, right? The energy we woke up feeling was a sextile between the Aries moon and Saturn. This was 7 a.m. Pacific time, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So it's a supportive angle between the moon and Saturn. And you can see right now the moon is at 28 degrees. We'll talk about the connection it's making currently. Saturn is at 25 degrees. So we're still feeling this sextile between the two. With Aries being a very leadership-oriented sign and Saturn representing leadership as well, maturity, responsibility, it might have felt easy to lean into that duty or obligation this morning, like waking up, okay, doing what I got to do today, maybe taking the lead, stepping up, just being able to lean into maturity as the moon formed a sextile to Saturn. stand up for what we believe in, take a stand. It doesn't feel like a super harsh energy, though, that we woke up feeling. More just like, okay, I know what I have to do and I'm able to do it today. Then, well, now I should say, if you're joining me live, the moon is squaring Pluto. So I'll bring the chart back up and you can see that red line between the 28-degree Aries moon and Pluto at 28 degrees of Capricorn. Coming back to the energy of a square, there's tension. And especially when the fiery and even impulsive, aggressive Aries moon is squaring off to Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, transformation, our shadows, intense emotions can pop up right now or this afternoon. Power struggles are possible too because Pluto is wanting to be in control. It represents manipulation and power. So frustration or anger are possible side effects currently. The key here, I think, is slowing down and asking what any intense emotions are trying to show you. A square can sometimes feel surprising. It could feel like, oh, these dark, icky feelings are popping up for me right now. Again, what can I do with these? What are they showing me? So that's honestly, the most intense transit we're probably feeling this weekend is a square between the Aries moon and Pluto, and we're feeling it right now. So honor the deep emotions that are coming up. They're asking to be released, asking to be let go so we can be reborn and lean into that death and rebirth cycle. And when the first quarter moon moves into Taurus at about 3:45 this afternoon Pacific time, we have released any stagnant energy that's no longer serving us to help us move forward. So the moon is actually void currently between 1 p.m. and about 3:45 until the moon moves into Taurus. This is a great time to tie up any loose ends, find some closure, even just come back down if you're joining me live to a more peaceful, balanced state. Check in yourself before you wreck yourself. So when the moon does move into Taurus, again, you have that grounded energy to move forward with. Nikki says she had a healing sleep last night, recovered from her muscle pulled, feeling healed, more relaxed, can finally walk again. Happy for you, Nikki. Hi, Nick. Happy to see you. Okay, so the moon moves into Taurus 3:45, and it's the first quarter moon. Technically, the first quarter moon is tomorrow, but we're feeling that first quarter moon energy. And remember, this is a phase of the moon where we are asked to take action. It's more natural to move forward. And with the first quarter moon being in the grounded, physical, sensual sign of Taurus, it really feels like digging our heels in and taking aligned action. Taurus represents the part of our chart that links us to our values. So over the next couple days, really getting rooted into our values, reflecting on our values, and taking aligned action from that place. It's like pushing forward under the stubborn sign of Taurus, right? Like we are really determined, but we want to make sure that that energy of determination and moving forward and kind of moving the needle and pushing ahead is aligned with our true values, our authentic desires. So starting by, okay, what do I really want? What feels really good for me? And then allowing that to help you move the needle forward. I love how we end our day on Friday with a sextile between the moon and Venus in Pisces. So let's see, I'll jump ahead 6 hours or so here. The moon, you'll see, pops over into Taurus, and there's that nice sextile to Venus in Pisces here, that dark blue line. A sextile, a 60-degree angle, represents support, and especially because Taurus, the Taurus moon, is ruled by Venus, there is a very Venusian energy that we're leaning into tonight. Sensuality, pleasure. It is Venus Day after all, so we're ending Venus Day on a very Venus note. This feels like indulging. It feels like cuddling, with Venus and Pisces, like snuggling up on the couch, cuddling, watching a movie. Expressing our affection comes more naturally as the Taurus moon links with Venus, and even taking action in a way of expressing affection, like just saying I love you, or putting yourself out there and being like, hey, want to Netflix and chill tonight, or I don't know, that probably sounded really nerdy, but whatever comes naturally to you. But I will say with the moon and Taurus, physical touch is heightened, that sensualness nature is heightened, and comfort food as well. On a Friday night, comfort food feels like it's part of the plan this Friday night. So it's a little easier to show people how much we care about them as we can lean into love as the first quarter moon connects with Venus. And we can do that through physical touch. Coming back to the love languages, honestly, like physical touch, telling people how much we love them, acts of service, cooking them a nice meal, spending quality time, just cuddling on the couch, and gifts too, I guess, because Taurus is this physical sign, bringing someone flowers, even gifts from the earth. We're more tapped into nature when the moon is in Taurus. So the day might be a little rocky to start, but by the end of the day, we should be feeling the love a little more easily. Hi, Tanner. Hey, Corby. Yeah, sounds like my kind of Friday. Making homemade pizzas and chilling. Perfect for that connection to Venus. And speaking of Venus, Tanner messaged me today, and the journalist in me, the spiritual journalist, has to make a correction. Yesterday, when we were talking about Venus and Pisces, I said that Venus was the traditional ruler of Pisces. That is not correct. Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces before Neptune was discovered. However, Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. So Venus is exalted in Pisces. There is that connection between Venus and Pisces. It's just not the traditional ruler. And I want to clarify that, especially for those of you who are trying to learn and are in transit tracking. Want to make sure that I'm not giving any false information. So thank you, Tanner, for pointing that out and being so diligent. That's our Friday, ending on a lovely note. We have major transits every day this weekend. So let's move on into Saturday. Saturday feels like a turning point. The sun in Aquarius comes into a square with the north and south nodes. This is a T-square, remember, because when a planet squares one node, it's also going to square the other node. The nodes are directly opposite one another. And let's see, I'm going to jump ahead on the chart. So I don't think it'll show up. For whatever reason, AstroSeek doesn't show connection. Oh, no, it does. Okay. So the sun squaring the north and south nodes. You can see that giant red triangle, aka a T-square in the middle of the chart. When we have a T-square, the planet at the right angle becomes the focal point of that T-square. And in this case, it's the sun being our brightest luminary, representing life force energy, really just illuminating wherever it's at, whatever it's connected to. It feels like this is a turning point between the past and the future. Remember, the north and south nodes are also called the nodes of fate. So fated moments could be possible where you maybe have to choose, like, okay, what am I going to leave behind so I can move forward? This feels very aligned with the first quarter moon as well, wanting to take action, wanting to move forward, but you might have to release those old stories or release past beliefs, past values in order to really align with the path you're meant to walk. And with the sun in Aquarius, a shift in perspective is possible as well. Changes are possible. So both the past and future are illuminated. It's like we're stuck right between the past and future. Our consciousness is between the two, and we can clearly see this is where we've been, this is what we've mastered, this is what we've already learned, but we can also clearly see this is where we're meant to go. This marks a point where upgrades in consciousness are possible with the sun at the center of this T-square, but we have to be willing to lean out of our comfort zone. Remember, the south node feels more comfortable, the north node feels more uncomfortable. So it's like we got to close the book on old stories, write new chapters, but it's very tempting to just stay in the book we're familiar with. New insights can come through. We just have to be willing to stay open to them and lean a little bit out of our comfort zone, right? I would say, though, fated moments, realizations, especially as we get into Sunday's forecast, powerful insights are possible this weekend. There could be an aha moment that comes through either Saturday or Sunday that's like, oh, now I see where I'm supposed to go. Now I see what I'm supposed to do. I've been clinging to this idea or this version of me a little too tightly. And that feels exciting, but also uncomfortable, right? So turning points. Turning points are possible. Thank you, Tanner. He says you always have a lot of wisdom to share. There's a lot of truth in thinking of Pisces as Venus's home. She definitely makes it her home when she's there. Yeah. Are we feeling that on this Venus day? I'm like, I'm ready for Pisces season already. Venus is in Pisces. I'm like, ooh, it's intuitive. It's watery. I'm here for it. But as always, this is a co-creation. I am never under the impression that I've got it all figured out or that I am like the master of astrology. So if you ever have insights, especially when you're joining me live, or if you ever notice that I say something incorrectly, it's not like I have a script here. I'm just talking through stuff. So I appreciate you, Tanner. I appreciate you clarifying, like, hey, I think you said this. I don't know if that's true. The Virgo in me, I'm like, it's got to be correct. I appreciate that. Okay, let's talk about what's going on with the first quarter moon in Taurus on Saturday. The moon will be in Taurus all weekend, so we're really feeling that grounded, rooted, determined energy to move forward. And we will really be feeling on Saturday morning that turning point we were talking about as the sun connects with the north and south nodes. The moon, actually, this very moment we have pulled up on the chart, the moon is squaring the sun. That's the official first quarter moon, 7 a.m. Pacific time on Saturday. So the moon and sun are in this kind of battle with each other, this conflict in the square, but that's what helps us move forward. Because it's like externally, we are ready for the future with the sun in Aquarius. We're like seeing the insights. We want to move forward. Internally, with the moon in Taurus, we kind of want to stay comfortable. So we might feel that tension, but as the moon meets up with the north node, we understand, okay, we know we got to lean out of our comfort zone. How can we feel safe in our body, safe in the physical, while still innovating, moving forward? So it feels kind of like this tension point that's pushing us, like we are aware. We're aware of what feels safe, but we know we're made for more, if that makes sense. The moon connecting with the north node, opposing the south node, makes it very clear to see the direction we're going and what we need to be releasing. We have to be willing to push past our comfort zone, though, and take some action, some grounded action. Saturday evening brings insights. This is where the insights will likely start popping up, even throughout the day on Saturday. So we'll jump ahead 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific time. Let's just jump ahead a few hours here. Okay, that should do. So you can see the moon will trine Mercury at 14 degrees and make a conjunction to Uranus. We're going to be talking about the trine between Mercury and Uranus for Sunday. So we're starting to feel the energy of Sunday on Saturday afternoon as the moon really activates this trine between Mercury and Uranus. When the moon is conjunct Uranus, it's like we crave excitement. The surprises happen, the disruptions happen, and emotionally, we're here for it. We're in it. We're invested in it, right? We're like enmeshed in all the changes that are happening. But the trine to Mercury, this harmonious angle to Mercury, our messenger planet, our mental state, is opening us up to insights. Uranus represents disruption, but it also represents innovation. So as we open up our mental state, it just really feels like being able to ground information, to have downloads come through, to keep our mind open, even with Mercury in a serious sign of Capricorn. It's like being able to pull information, insights, kind of reach outside of our comfort zone up there in the ethers and ground information into the physical, make practical sense of it. And that can help us move forward, you know? So there's a lot of forward movement that we really start getting into Saturday night into Sunday. The key here really feels like staying open to insights, staying open to little pings that come through that show us how to lean out of our comfort zone. Maybe keep a journal handy, a notepad handy. You might have some really powerful ideas come through, creative ideas or just innovative ideas in one way or another come through on Saturday afternoon. And it'll feel easy to express ourselves with the moon and Mercury harmonizing like this, to take our internal emotions and externally express them. And maybe do it in a different way with Uranus in the mix, leaning into, rebellion a little bit. Like, let me try this differently. Let me push convention. This will also help us get out of our comfort zone, like shift our mindset out of the same narratives that have been playing, aka our comfort zone, right? Mind of Mary Madeline says, I had a vision of you being a part of the inner circle at the Astrology Hub podcast. Super random, but just thought I should share that. Hey, I am open to that. I'm open to that. I love how we're talking about like visions are definitely possible on Saturday too, with the moon conjunct Uranus, trine Mercury. I love that you just were like popping in like, I have this little vision. Hey, I'm open to it. Turning points, faded opportunities, always open to whatever the universe wants to send my way. Thanks for sharing. Katie says, I have the North Node in Pisces in the 3rd house. Interested how that will play out for me. Maybe new ways of visioning things, imagining things, especially with Venus crossing over your North Node. Maybe new desires that kind of come to you through thinking, like opening your mind a little bit. Pisces feels very open. So I think with Venus crossing over and during Pisces season, new creative ideas could come through for you. It was in connection to the 10th house video as well. Hey, career, open to that. Definitely open to it. I like the floor leaf clover too. Fate, luck. Okay, universe, if that's where you want me to go, here I am. I'm ready for it. Katie says, I feel this Mercury-Uranus connection as taking a beat before communicating. I have Mercury in Aquarius. Yeah, I like that, especially with Mercury in Capricorn. Mercury's moving into Aquarius, I think on the 11th. So before the end of Aquarius season, Mercury will be in Aquarius. But Mercury in Capricorn really slows things down, whereas the conjunction between the moon and Uranus feels like, ooh, excitement. I want to go for a thrill. Like, I want to disrupt things. I want to shake things up a bit, So I think this is a useful tip. If you have the insight come through, the first quarter moon's in Taurus, there's really this like, okay, let's do something with it. Let's take practical action on it. But taking a beat is never a bad idea, if you ask me. Tanner says, this weekend is a big turning point for me. Since COVID, I was deported from Ecuador and then was homeless. Oh my gosh. The drama. I love how we're talking about Uranus and all of a sudden this disruptive story comes through, but I'm here for it. For months, trying to heal my Cancer during Saturn return conjunct Pluto. Oh my goodness. Whew. Well, I hope that you are coming out of that. A turning point is certainly welcome, Tanner, and we are seeing that turning point for you, shifting into a new timeline, shifting into more ease. What a Saturn return story. Whew. Wow. Well, speaking of turning points, speaking of all these insights, let's move on to Sunday because we're talking about a trine between Mercury and Uranus while we're still on this subject. So we'll jump ahead to Sunday now. We have 2 trines on Sunday playing out, and you'll be able to see them both on the chart as I pull it up right now. So Mercury and Uranus in this trine at 14 degrees in Earth signs, harmonizing with each other, allowing those insights to come through. And then the Sun and Mars also come into a trine on Sunday. We're going to start with Mercury and Uranus, even though timing-wise, I think it happens after the Sun and Mars. But since we're already talking so much about this energy, starting to feel it as the moon activates it on Saturday night, let's just stick with this. Mercury and Uranus, again, insights, downloads, innovation, ideas. Keep a notepad handy. We're open to stimulating conversations, talking with new people, changing up our routine, even as Mercury in Capricorn feels very like our routine and our stability. Uranus is like, let's change it up. Let's try it differently. Let's think outside the box. And by being willing to just go there, those intuitive downloads can come right through very easily. We might even be like, oh, I want to talk to that person I normally wouldn't talk to. Or I'm going to express my thoughts in a way I don't normally express them. Maybe I'm going to journal and I don't normally journal, or maybe I normally journal and instead I'm just going to call up a friend and talk to them about what I'm feeling. We also could be pulled to learn something new as Mercury and Uranus harmonize. Remember, Mercury is all about learning and our mind, our brain, and Uranus wants us to do it differently, or we're open to new things, trying things in a new way. So it's like a disruption of our mindset in the most positive way, because this is the most positive angle we can experience between planets. A change of mind in the simplest terms is possible on Sunday. It's like that detachment in Capricorn and Aquarius for me works well with the planet of communication. Yeah, very practical energy, right? And Uranus is like, Uranus can bring in some intuition too. So you might have an idea and could be tempting with all this earth energy to be like, is that practical? Full permission on Sunday to just write the idea down, bookmark it for later, for when Mercury moves into Aquarius and then Pisces. There could be more creative, intuitive energy in the coming weeks and months that allows you to expand on that idea. So if it feels like a weird idea, just write it down. Just write it down. You don't have to do anything with it. Just take note, because inspiration can definitely come through on Sunday. Oh my goodness. Tanner is so busy. Now he's in the Czech Republic selling his video game mods, mapped to a company for some good monies. Hey, we are seeing all the abundance for you. Yeah, I echo what Katie says, sending healing and abundant vibes to you. All right. So Mercury and Uranus this weekend, just open yourself to a change of mind. But let's talk about the Sun and Mars, because we have the first quarter moon and then the Sun and Mars. It's like, let's go. This trine between the Sun, our energy, Mars also linked to our energy. It's like easy to use our motivation, move forward. We're really going to feel like moving and doing on Sunday. And it's funny because when we look at the planetary days of the week, you know, Sunday in many cultures is like a day of rest, but it's ruled by the Sun. And the Sun is very energetic, right? Whereas Moon Day, where we see it as a fresh start, starting something, Monday, is actually ruled by the Moon and is, intended to be a little more low key. So just something to keep in mind. You might be feeling that energy on Sunday. This balanced angle between the Sun and Mars not only just brings an energy of doing and going, but it's also bringing in a little bit of analysis with the Sun and Mars, both in Earth signs and these very analytical signs. So you might be asking yourself, like, who am I? What do I really want? How can I make that happen in a different way with this trine between Mercury and Uranus happening, with the Sun in the sign of shifts in perspective, Aquarius? It's like our willingness to think outside the box can almost give us the energy like, ooh, I want to try this new thing. I want to do this, right? So new avenues of ways we can take action could be revealed. And since the Sun is in community-oriented Aquarius, there's also the invitation to assess, how are my actions impacting the people around me, impacting my community? Both the Sun in Aquarius and Mars in Gemini are in the most community-oriented signs too. So we're really aware of how our actions are affecting the people around us, affecting our local community, our global community, and it just feels like aligned action. The insights that we're grounding are like, okay, how can I use this to my community's benefit? It's a great day as well to assess what projects maybe we've already started, or we started before Mercury Retrograde even, and what needs to be done to move the needle forward. How can we try something we haven't tried before? Maybe even taking some stagnant projects and starting to get them going again, bringing unfinished business to completion. There's a lot of fortune on Sunday with these two trines and thinking differently, thinking outside the box, and then stepping outside the box and taking action on those ideas. If you're not quite sure yet, again, just keep a journal handy, write it down. that could be the action in itself. Like, I'm just going to write this down for later. We don't want to overwhelm ourselves ever, right? It'll happen when it's supposed to happen. But if you feel like moving some energy on Sunday, it's a good day to do it. And maybe you'll just have ample energy in general to like move your body. Maybe you want to try a new workout routine. The Sun trine Mars is like, yeah, try it. Why not? See how you feel after it, right? And this is all in alignment with this first quarter moon in Taurus that we're still feeling on Sunday as well, and helping us kind of ground into the actions and the insights that are coming through. So at 11 a.m. on Sunday, the moon will form a sextile to Neptune. Let's see, what time do we have on our chart right now? We'll jump ahead a few hours. So the sextile to Neptune, I really love this because the moon in Taurus bringing that practical energy, but Neptune and Pisces is like, allow yourself to dream a little bit, to soften, to imagine, to tap into your intuition. So creativity and compassion come through really easily on Sunday, late morning, early afternoon, depending on where you're living. Taking inspiration and then turning it into physical action feels very aligned with not just this connection between the moon and Neptune, but with the two trines we just talked about between Mercury and Uranus and the Sun and Mars. Then 3 p.m. Pacific time, the moon squares Saturn. So this is not the most fun transit to talk about, but we got to talk about it, right? So let me jump ahead and you can see the moon squaring Saturn at 25 degrees, that dark red line in the chart. We still have more positive energy than difficult energy to work with. You can even just see that in a snapshot of the chart. We've got lots of trines playing out, those dark blue lines, right? But the square to Saturn can bring up the feeling of like, what if? Or doubt. Like, we got all these insights, we're inspired, we want to innovate, we want to move forward. And then Sunday afternoon could bring just like the tiredness or being a little overly practical. Like, but what if this happens? But am I good enough to do that? Having that self-doubt or the worries pop up. Saturn can do that, especially in a difficult aspect like this. So we're kind of being forced to acknowledge our limitations in this moment. That doesn't mean we're going to be limited forever. Again, write the ideas down. You never know what resources you're going to have to work with in a few days, a few weeks, a few months, even a few years. But the square to Saturn is like, what if this happens? But what if I take the leap, take the chance, step outside my comfort zone and it's too scary and something bad happens? So just know that that could pop up. I like to just tell Saturn to shut up, like, I get that you're here to protect me and keep me safe, but do we really need this? The limitations is this real? Saturn serves a purpose, but sometimes he's just annoying. So being overly stubborn or overly conservative is a possible side effect when the moon squares Saturn, or just having a little more doubt than we'd like. Even just like putting a damper on the exciting, innovative energy for a little bit on Sunday afternoon. This is 3 p.m. Pacific time, so 6 p.m. Eastern time. I was planning on going on my first solo hike in 2 years, excited to see what kind of downloads I get. I love this for you, especially with the moon in Taurus. It's like, get out in nature, take action in nature, connect to the earth. And also with Uranus in Taurus, it's very much rooted in nature and in the physical. So inspiration could certainly come. I think it will come for you by being out in nature, Bree. Yeah, we don't survive life. Take the scary risks sometimes. Amen to that, Nick. I love that. We don't survive life. Yes. Yes. Shut Up Saturn gave me Luca vibes. I love this movie. I just watched it a few months ago. And Silenzio Bruno. Like, that is the most genius thing that you could teach kids. Bruno is Saturn. Bruno is totally Saturn in that movie. If you haven't seen it, it's really cute. It's about this like a little Italian village. So, I'm obsessed with it. But Bruno is like that voice in your head that tells you can't do it. And it's like, Silenzio Bruno. Like, no, I'm not listening to you. That is the vibe when the moon squares Saturn. Silenzio Bruno. I understand that the what ifs are here for a reason. We got to be a little practical, right? But we don't need to listen to every doubt that pops into our head either. Yeah. It's a really cute movie, though. It's about a little Italian boy who is like kind of a mermaid fish creature as well, or he can turn into a fish, right? Is that the right movie? Is that what I'm thinking of? Yeah, it's really cute. Okay, so the final connection we will talk about for Sunday happens on Sunday night, 9 p.m. Pacific time, so midnight Eastern time. The moon and Pluto come into a trine. I love that we end our weekend and our time under the first quarter moon in Taurus with this trine. Look at that. Look at these 3 trines all playing out at the same time. Like, okay, we're here for this. Yes. The trine between the moon and Pluto is like, let the limitations die, let the doubts die, lean into transformation. And it's kind of like, okay, by taking just one small step, moving the needle forward, even just allowing the insights to come through, we are in the midst of transformation. Transformation is unfolding easily. It's unfolding naturally. We can just let it happen, right? By saying Silenzio Bruno, it's like that's part of the transformation process of not believing every little doubt that pops into our head, right? Yeah, I love when the moon harmonizes with Pluto. It's just like reclaiming our power, alchemizing very easily, alchemizing the energy of doubt into the energy of empowerment. Even just saying like, I hear the doubt, but I don't have to believe it. That is so freaking powerful. So notice whatever transformation is unfolding, and it might even just be this emotional awareness of the transformation you've kind of gone through as the sun pulls away from that T-square to the north and south node. As you come out of that turning point, it's like this emotional, oh yeah, I'm evolving. It's happening for me right now. When the moon harmonizes with Pluto as well, deep emotions can surface really easily, and that can feel intense, but it can also feel really beautiful under this fortunate angle. Like, oh, I realized the doubt within me. I saw these suppressed emotions, and I'm allowing them to be released so I can feel a little lighter, and that's part of the process of alchemy, right? Yes, that movie I learned in my human design. I will always have what ifs, and to just enjoy what I have or choose in the present. I love these systems where, we can acknowledge Saturn in astrology in our chart. We can acknowledge these what ifs or these gates channels we have in human design, and knowing about them is like, I don't have to let them control me anymore. I don't have to let Saturn run my life anymore. Saying this as I'm going through the last stint of my Saturn return. So this is a message I am preaching to myself. Yeah, your son loved that movie. That Silenzio Bruno was a great teaching moment. Yeah, I mean, I don't even have kids. And when I watched it, I was like, this is the message I needed for my Saturn return. Silenzio Bruno. Yes, definitely a lot of insights, a lot of transformation this weekend. And I feel like a lot of times when we talk about transformation and insights, sometimes it feels like, oh my gosh, what crazy big thing is going to happen? And notice the subtle changes, the subtle shifts, the subtle insights. It could be that maybe you don't have the most mind-blowing idea pop in, but you choose the Silenzio Bruno moment. You choose to see something from a different perspective. And that subtle shift has a huge ripple effect. So give yourself credit for little moments of insight, little moments of transformation, doing it differently, stepping outside your comfort zone in even the smallest ways. That will snowball. Some of the biggest shifts in my life have come from like one moment of thinking of something differently, right? So that could be how it shows up, or it could be like your $1 million idea comes through. We all experience this differently. But yeah, and then the moon is void. After the trine to Pluto, the moon is void for the rest of the night. It will move into Gemini early Monday morning. So full permission on Sunday to just chill out and the end of the Taurus moon, maybe watch Luca. That would be a great activity on Sunday night, or just cozy up under the Taurus moon. Allow yourself to integrate, to rest, and to just really soak in the last moments of your weekend. I always like to acknowledge that Saturday and Sunday aren't the weekend for everybody. I worked in TV news for a long time, and I worked weekends for a long time. So if you have some downtime on Sunday, especially late Sunday night, great time to just chill out, give yourself a moment of rest, relaxation before you head to bed. Or if you live on the East Coast, maybe you're just sleeping through the void moon, and that's fine too. Those are all the transits that we are experiencing this weekend. Lots of exciting shifts and changes. It really does feel like there's a lot of possibility for evolution this weekend. And we'll come back to the affirmation I wrote for this Friday, actually, and it's, I turn pain into healing. This comes up, of course, because of the square between Mercury and Chiron. So that could be the transformation. That could be the evolution. That could be the shift. Having that healing moment of like, okay, how has this painful situation served me? Or why did I have to go through this difficulty? What's the healing I can gain from it? So remember, you are the alchemist. You can transform at any moment. You can choose to see things in a new light at any given time. I turn pain into healing. I'm remaining open to whatever shows up, committing to being willing to participate in the transformation, whatever that may look like. Yes, I'm willing to transform. That's another great affirmation. I'm willing to see it differently. I'm willing to do it differently. I'm willing to be an active participant in my transformation. Yes, please. Grooving on a Sunday Afternoon by the Young Rascals. Sounds like a great Sunday song. Okay, and we'll finish up today. I'm going to do a 3-card pull from this little mini tarot deck, Everyday Tarot, a card for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's been a while since we've done a 3-card pull. So this is your moment. Ask any final questions, share any final insights. Let us know if you have any fun weekend plans, or even maybe something you thought of as you were watching this forecast. You know, oh, maybe I'll do that this weekend. Maybe even just aligning with the energy of doing it differently had some insights come through or pop up for you. We love the 3-card pull. Yeah, some Fridays I'm really into it, and some Fridays I'm like, that feels too much. Today, though, felt good. So we'll shuffle up here. Then we'll all breathe together and see what message wants to come through for us. All right, here we go. Give yourself the gift of the deepest breath you've taken all day, whether you're joining me live or if you've gotten to this point in the video you're watching later. Just take a nice deep breath for yourself. And as you exhale, send some energy into the deck, asking the universe, what do I need to know? Here we go. Breathe in. And release. What do we need to know? On Friday, the 7 of Pentacles popped up. On Saturday, the 9 of Pentacles. And on Sunday, the 7 of Wands. Okay, we've got some 7s and 9s here. So I always give the disclaimer when we pull tarot cards. I am not a tarot expert. That's not my forte. I like to just use the guidebook and see what message it has for us. Now, the first 2 cards I did pull in reverse, and this deck does have reverse description. So for Friday, the 7 of Pentacles in reverse came through, and it says, you are questioning whether you have invested your time into the right projects and if you will be adequately rewarded. You may feel frustrated or impatient, wanting instant results. You've done what you can. Now is the time to wait patiently for the payoff. Okay, so Mercury squaring Chiron. Maybe you're like, I've spent a lot of time in this healing journey, or I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. Have I wasted my time? But there is payoff in the pain, right? So the pentacles, I believe, represent, no, I'm not even going to try to remember which suit they represent. Like I said, not a tarot expert, but might be Earth. 7 of Pentacles. Might be questioning things as Mercury squares Chiron today. The 9 of Pentacles came through for Saturday, also in reverse, and the message is this. You may be afraid to spend money on yourself, worrying that you are not worthy. You may be undercharging, working for free, or accepting a lower salary than you should. Know that you are worthy and deserve to be wealthy in all facets. Okay, Taurus moon coming in like, yes, you are worthy of money. You are worthy of abundance. Yeah, maybe a turning point with the Sun in Aquarius squaring the North and South nodes. The North node in Taurus, the sign associated with money and physical wealth, and the South node in Scorpio, which is representative of debt and karmic contracts. maybe that turning point on Saturday is being like, no, I'm worthy of abundance. I need to release lack mindset, lack mentality. And that could feel uncomfortable, right? If you've been living in a lack mindset for a long time and fear or worry about what will happen if I spend this money, feels like that's really coming through for Saturday, like shifting your perspective to align with the abundance that you are worthy of and deserving of. And then our Sunday card is the Seven of Wands. This came through upright. At least we got one upright card, right? And I love that it's upright on a day when we have so much harmony in the forecast. It says, you are in an enviable position. You've worked hard to get where you are, but other people want what you have and are prepared to fight you for it. Protect your territory and stand up for what you believe in. Okay, all right. Sun trine Mars, a little bit aggressive, but also honoring what you've already fought for, the work you've already put in to get to where you are, and giving yourself credit for how much abundance you've already created for yourself. So it's interesting because the reverse definition also talks about doubting yourself and your self-worth. Self-worth seems to be coming up a lot, and it seems like it's signaling to that being a really big part of the shift in perspective a lot of us will likely experience this weekend, or the insights that come through are probably going to be linked to our worth, especially with the moon in Taurus, really reflecting on our values and our self-worth. So know that you've already created abundance and other people want what you have. That's what this card is saying. And that could be a shift in perspective in itself. Like, how do other people perceive you? Not that it's important what other people think about you, but there are millions of people around the world who would literally kill for the abundance you've created for yourself. So being protective of it and tapping into it to call in more of this, please, right? That could be a great shift in perspective. Like, yes, I'm worthy of abundance because look at the abundance I've already created for myself. I am worthy of the things I want just because I exist, because I want them, because these ideas came into my brain. They could have come into anybody else's brain in the entire world, but God, Spirit, the universe dropped these seeds into my consciousness, and that makes me worthy of manifesting them. Hello, Elena. You might have to watch it from the beginning. But whatever point you dropped in, especially if it was during the card pull, whatever you first heard is likely a message for you, or that's how I like to view card pulls or anybody else's insights that I pop into live. But happy to see you here live, even if it's just for a little bit. That's actually going to do it for our show together today. As I mentioned, I will put markers on the timeline for all the different transits we talked about. So if you want to revisit this on Sunday and you're like, what did she say about this aspect? You can do that more easily. But I hope you have a beautiful weekend ahead of you. And just a reminder to flow with it and stay open to the insights, downloads, ideas, shifts in perspective that are possible this weekend. Hey. I'm going to hop off now, but for those of you in transit tracking, I will see you live on our Zoom call tonight if you can make it. Really excited to chat with you all about how the first week has been going. And for those of you, even if you're not in transit tracking, as the moon gets ready to move into Taurus in the next hour or so, a great point to look at where Taurus begins in your chart. See what area of your life is likely going to be activated with all the Uranus energy too. I mean, the Taurus part of your chart is definitely in focus this weekend. So that could give you a little bit of guidance or further guidance as to where those insights might come through or what area of your life they might have to do with. Oh, good. I'm glad you appreciate the markers in the video. Hope you have a great weekend, Nick. I can't wait to see you tonight, Corby. And everybody finding this video, joining me live, just know that I'm so grateful for you. I am so grateful for this community. I think you're so amazing for continuing to show up for yourself, for continuing to show up for the community we're building together. If you're new here, welcome. We're so excited to have you. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel so you can support these videos coming out every day. And I will see you on Monday morning for a brand new week and a fresh energy. But until I see you next, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.